The aim of the fruit salad project was to take information that's in the literature and in pilot studies and then take it onto farm. So it's to look at specifically some soil amendments that have shown great promise to increase soil carbon and to reduce nitrous oxide, a greenhouse gas. The soil amendments that we chose were compost and biochar, and they're two very different sort of soil amendments. Biochar, it's a charcoal-like substance, and it is biomass that's been heated in no oxygen or low oxygen environments, very controlled. This biochar was a mixture of chicken manure and plant residue, and we chose this type of biochar with manure because of its small amount of nutrient content. And so it's 52% carbon, so it's very highly carbonaceous, and it is shown to reduce nitrous oxide, increase soil carbon in the soil, and has a half-life in the hundreds and hundreds of years. So it will stay in the soil for a very long time. And why we're looking at nitrous oxide is that it's 300 times more potent than carbon dioxide in warming the atmosphere. So we looked at biochar and compost very specifically because they have shown scientific evidence to reduce nitrous oxide and increase soil carbon. They've shown great promise in pilot trials, in pot trials, in different agricultural enterprises like pastures and cropping, but no research has been done in horticulture, especially vegetables and rock melons and bananas and blueberries. So those industries were really keen to find out how they were going with their nitrous oxide emissions and to see if they could improve their climate footprint.
So my involvement in the Action on the Ground fruit salad project has been to provide a trial site for the project to take place. Basically, we GPS the rows and marked everything out so that the guys involved in the project could set up the trial to measure the data as they needed to. The outcomes of the project have actually been quite promising, some of the results that we've seen. What we have learnt is that the use of soil ameliorants such as biochar and compost have the ability to improve our yields and the quality of the product that we produce.
I was the project leader and I was involved in organising 5 different experiments all over a couple of states, and so I led a team who were looking after different sites. So we had 2 rock melon sites, one in Bundaberg, one in Griffith, New South Wales. We had 2 banana sites, and they were close to Lismore and Wallingbar. And we had 1 blueberry site, which was close to Byron Bay. So our experiments, we did this on all of 5 farms, exactly the same. We had a control where we had the normal practice, compost, a biochar, and a biochar plus compost, so a combination, seeing if we can add those 2 different sort of properties together. And we decided we'll put it out at a fixed carbon rate, 4 tonne of carbon per hectare. And then we monitored soil, and we measured greenhouse gases, and then we sent it to the lab, and then they measured methane, nitrous oxide and carbon dioxide.
From my point of view, these projects are an important part of our industry. If no one puts their hand up to do these things, it's easy for university students to do pot trials and show us all the data at these sort of information days, but it's the real world where these things have to be demonstrated, and that's where I see the benefit in being involved in these projects.
We are finding some trends. With looking at nitrous oxide, biochar has actually proven quite successful in reducing nitrous oxide emissions, up to 41% in the bananas, 20% in rock melons, but it had no impact at all on yield. We were expecting soil improvements or soil changes, especially with pH, but we didn't actually see that in the commercial farms. Compost actually is proving quite likely a beneficial sort of input in that there are slight increases in yield in some of the crops, not all of them, but we're finding really helping hold moisture in the soil, and for some soils that's really quite critical, and so it's slowing down that sort of drainage and allowing all of the mineral nutrients in solution to sort of have more time for access to the roots. So we're getting a little bit more nutrient use efficiency. So in summary, the biochar and the compost actually did not increase the soil carbon at the applied rates, and so that leaves the question, maybe the rate was too low to pick up. Maybe in horticulture, because of the turnover in soil and losses in the environment, it doesn't stay there. So maybe there is actually movement of biochar, and also the compost will actually eventually decompose, and so that will then go back to its natural state unless you add some more and start building that. This wouldn't have happened without the really solid support from the growers of these farms. They really have made it happen. And so we've been able to show preliminary results of these in these trials, and we've had some really positive trends come out, especially compost. So we really want to then further look at compost and the impacts it has beyond just 1 or 2 years, but longer term.
So as far as interest from other farmers in the area goes, I've had every second guy that drives past ring up to say, what's going on, what are all the little plastic tubes sticking out of your ground there? At least that I can tell them what we're doing, and the guys that are interested can come and see me, and I can give them Justine's contact details, or I can tell them what I've found.
This project came about because of pilot trials and scientific trials, but it's really when you get on the ground and working with growers in an everyday situation, dealing with the weather, the insects and the markets, that you really do show the real results. And so it's important to sort of keep links with the growers and then have a two-way sort of communication where they inform me about what's going on, and I sort of can help find out what's happening in their soil, and then sort of continuing working with growers because they know the land and we can help with the science, and then it gets beyond the farm gate.